These are my 20-year-old bone Swiss bearings, and they still roll like they're brand new. Hey guys, Happy New Year and welcome back to the channel. I've taken a bit of a break during the holidays, so I'm sorry for the brief hiatus, but I'm back with some fresh ideas for upcoming videos. But today we're rolling back into the world of skateboarding, and I'm going to show you how cleaning your skateboard bearings will not only improve their performance, but also add to their lifespan, which will ultimately save you money over the long run. And I've got three main points that I want to make in this video. First, a huge shout out to Bones bearings. The bearings that I've got in these wheels here are Bone Swiss, and they're 20 years old now, and believe it or not, they're still rolling just as smooth and as fast as they did when they were new. That's kind of mind-blowing and some serious longevity there. For my second point, I know some skaters prefer to buy new bearings instead of messing around with cleaning old ones, and if you're in that camp, I'd encourage you to stick around. I want to show you just how simple and worthwhile it can be to clean your bearings. And then thirdly, I want to share with you the technique that I use to clean mine, which have kept these Swiss here in top condition for 2 decades now. First, let's get these bearings out of the wheels. I've got my trusty elephant wrench that I've had since I was like 13 or 14. So let's use that to get the nut off the axle here. All right, so we're just gonna do that 4 times here. Most modern bearings have a seal on one side and they're open on the other side. And before we run any cleaning solution through the bearings, it's important to pop that seal off. Number one, it'll help ensure that we've got every nook and cranny gets exposed to the solvent. And the other part is the solvent can damage the rubber that's on the outside of the seal. So we want to pop those off. And there's 2 ways to pop them off. For these Bone Swiss or one similar, you can take a razor blade and kind of hook here in the center of it and kind of pop it out like that there, which is fine. That's one of the recommended ways, but I feel like you're getting that blade a little bit close to the rubber on the outside there. So what I like to do is just take a push pin here, and then inside on the back of the bearing here, there's a plastic spacer that holds the balls in, and there's an inside track and an outside slot. And so if you just slip that pin through the outside slot and just push it, it'll just pop that shield right off. But that'll just help ensure that number one, you're not damaging the rubber on the surface, and that number two, you're not going to bend or damage the shield itself. So we need to get all of those shields off. So now we've got the bearing and the seals separated from each other. We'll set the bearings off to the side for a minute. You definitely want to give the seals a little bit of love too, especially if they were really grimy or dirty. Got a couple options. If they're not too bad, just wipe them down with a paper cloth like I've got here, a paper towel.
Bounty's the quicker picker-upper. Follow me.
If your seals are really dirty and grimy, you could mix up some soapy water and scrub them in there. You don't want to try and clean them with any of the solvents. That may cause the rubber to be damaged or deteriorate a little bit, and you won't get a good seal in the future. But otherwise, if they're not that bad, just rubbing them over a paper towel should do the trick. Okay, so next up we need to run some cleaning solution through the insides of the bearings to loosen up any dirt or grime that's accumulated there. And you've got a few options. Some people will just get a spray bottle and spray them. You could put them in just like a little sealable container and shake it up. But one of the most common things to use is a bearing cleaner. This is a Bones bearing cleaning unit. It's basically just a little bottle with a rod on it that you attach the bearings to. There's generic versions and other versions of these out there, but for me, I've had this Bones cleaning unit for 15 or 20 years now. You can get these for about 10 or 15 bucks, pretty much any skate shop or Amazon or whatever. And so yeah, we're going to use this to agitate the bearings through the cleaning solution. There's some recommendations for solvents for you to consider, things like acetone, citrus cleaner, or denatured alcohol. I like to use acetone myself because it's relatively safe. It's the same stuff that's inside a nail polish remover, and it's really effective. It cleans really well, and then it doesn't leave a residue like a citrus cleaner can that kind of sits on top of the bearing surface. And so I like acetone. Whatever you do, you want to stay away from the harsh solvents, like things like gasoline or turpentine or paint thinner. Those things, they don't clean as well, and they're just pretty nasty to work with. You can also consider traditional rubbing alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol. And if you go that route, the higher the concentration at like 90 or 99%, the better. I've used that and it's fine, but I feel like the acetone works better, and I just kind of overall, it's just easy to work with. So that's kind of my go-to. Anyway, we're going to take our bearing cleaning unit. We're going to open the lid here, which has the threaded rod attached to it. We're going to take off the wing nut and then remove these spacers. And then we're going to thread the bearings on one at a time. And we're going to put the spacers in between the bearings. And then we want to reattach the wing nut there. And we'll set that aside. And like I said, I've got acetone, so I need to pop this cap open. And one thing to remember when you're using any of these solvents is you want to make sure you're working in a well-ventilated room, and you want to make sure you read the instructions on the back of the label for safety. That way you just keep yourself safe, and then you definitely want to make sure you dispose of it properly.
Oh, neat.
But in this case, we're going to fill up this bottle about 1/3 of the way. Okay. We're going to go ahead and thread the bearings on, and then got it locked pretty well. We're just going to shake that for about 30 seconds. Okay, and then we want to open, and we just want to give each one of them a little bit of a spin. We're going to re-thread that on. And again, it's nail polish remover. If you get a little bit on your finger, not a big deal. You want to wash it off relatively quickly, but as long as it's not a lot and it doesn't sit on there for a long time, you should be good. And then if your water or your acetone in here is really dirty, in my case these bearings aren't really that dirty, so it's relatively clear. But if it was dirty, sometimes I'll like to pour that out into a cup that I can reuse later, and I'll put a fresh batch in to keep it rinsed. But in this case, these look pretty good. Remove that wing nut. But yeah, you just want to kind of tap these down to get the whatever's left of that acetone off of there. Basically what you're wanting to avoid is like spinning it like this and throwing the acetone on your clothes or up in your face. All right, and then to be extra sure they're dry, you can use compressed air, you can use a hair dryer or whatever. In my case, I've got this little, I forgot what this is called, some kind of rocket or whatever, but it blows air. You use it to like blow dust off the lenses and stuff. All right, so we've got these air dried and they are spinning really well dry here. Okay, so next up is arguably the most important part of the process, and that's re-lubricating the bearings. There's a lot of different bearing lubrications out there, but I think the most popular is Bones Speed Cream. I've had this bottle here for probably at least 15 years. And really you only need basically 2 drops per bearing. Bones says that if you're using ceramic bearings, you really only need 1. And you don't want to add too much lubrication, because that'll start to leak out, and then it'll just attract more dirt and grime, and it'll just make it so you need to clean them sooner. And so basically, yeah, you just want to do 2 drops, 1 on each opposite side. There's 1 and 2. And then just kind of take it like that and spin it, and that'll kind of get the lubrication kind of distributed evenly throughout. Okay, so the next step is reapplying the seals, which is pretty easy and straightforward. So yeah, you're going to take the rubber side on the outside, and again the bearing has the open side and then the kind of the lower part of the cage, and so we're putting this over the open side. And generally you want to center it around the center of the seal and then press from the center out towards the edges, and it just kind of snaps on. There's really no effort to it. And then I like to make sure, like, if there's a little bit of the lubricant kind of outside, I just kind of rub it around the edges, and that'll kind of coat it and help prevent some rust. But yeah, we're just going to do that 8 times now. It's pretty simple. But yeah, we're done. So that's it. These are cleaned, re-lubricated, and reset back up. And so basically we're just going to go back to the opposite of what we did before. All right, and that's it. With these simple steps, these Bones Swiss bearings are rolling like new again. It's really a testament to their quality that they've lasted over 2 decades with regular maintenance. Real shout out to Bones Bearings for producing such excellent quality products. All right, so this is the process that I found that works well for me. When I'm skating more actively, say maybe once or twice a week, then I'll do this once or twice a year. For guys who are skating more regularly, like daily, then maybe every 2 or 3 months is recommended. And then of course, if you accidentally roll through water or a really dusty or dirty environment, then you obviously want to clean them as soon as you can after that. But yeah, I'm curious what your bearing maintenance routine is. Do you ever clean your own bearings, or do you just go buy new ones? I'd love to hear your experiences down in the comments. If you've never tried cleaning bearings before, I hope this video inspires you to give it a shot. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please consider hitting the like button, or maybe sharing with a friend, or consider subscribing. Until next time, keep skating and keep those bearings rolling.